Hi, I'm Katelin Chow.
And I'm Arnold Sean.
Welcome back to the Daily Double Shot, Season 2.
The news magazine show that just won't give up. Up first, we have Breanna Lai talking to us about the common book.
We check out the latest zombie infestation on campus.
Katelin Chow talks to Madeleine McKenna of ASUW's current goals.
Students find time to balance school and play on a slack line.
Interim President Phyllis Wise talks to us about her responsibilities.
And we profile a UW student who is also on the lingerie football team.
All coming up
on today's Double Shot.
Yeah.
I'll see you there. Okay. Up first, Breanna Lai takes us into the pages of the new UW Common Book, You Are Never Where You Are.
Since the fall of 2006, the University of Washington has welcomed its first-year students with a common text. This year, the selection committee went out on a limb and published an original anthology. Writer-in-residence Frances McHugh talks about this year's choice.
Sure. The title of the book is You Are Never Where You Are, and it's from an Alberto Rios poem that's about being disoriented and in a hurry. And we decided to head into poetry because it was a challenging read, and we wanted to bring attention to poetry because there's so much liveliness in the culture right now.
Trying to come up with an idea that would be new, exciting, something that could really connect with students, but also sort of put us on the map as a university.
I mean, this is an original anthology. This is something that we went through the process of selecting poems for, and it's, it exists only through the UW campus.
We wanted to give the students a book that they would actually read. So we decided to choose our own poems, and then that meant that we had to publish it.
I'm here at the University Bookstore, where the Espresso Book Machine has printed this year's Common Book. As of last week, more than 700 copies have been sold.
Past books, like there was the Obama book. Before that, there was, I think, In Defense of Food by Michael Pollan. So they've been really books that deal with political issues and environmental issues, more so than something like poetry that doesn't necessarily have that concrete of an agenda.
Students have mixed feelings about the Common Book.
I have no idea what the Common Book is this year or the last 3 years, but when I read it, it was about like environmental something. Actually, I didn't read it.
No, not this year.
Yeah. When I was a freshman, it was The Devil's Highway, and last year it was Barack Obama's book, but I have no idea what the one this year is.
I'm not much of a poetry person, so I probably wouldn't. I'd be much more interested in something like last year's Common Book.
Choosing a book for 5,000 or 5,500 freshmen to read, it's a big deal. I mean, you're thinking about what is our cultural obligation? What should students read to be good citizens?
So I was kind of expecting a more intense novel, I guess, and not really a book of poems.
This year's book carries a loaded title. Once you've read it, you've already read part of the poem.
It's a poem that hopefully gets us to reflect on enjoying all those little moments of being new at something.
You don't know where you're going to go at this moment. You don't quite know where you are, and you don't know where you're going. You're here, but you're also kind of not here at the same time. So it kind of expresses that liminal period that I think freshmen are in when they enter the university.
At the university, you're kind of your own person, and even though you're all in one institution, you kind of get out of the school like what you want to get from it.
Maybe your circumstances right now don't necessarily define who you are at this moment. You can make the most out of it even if you don't like the situation you're in. So you don't have to be where you are right now, you can be somewhere else.
All I've heard is like, great, we have a poetry book and it hasn't been assigned in high school. No one is interpreting it for us. We get to just sit and read it.
Almost everybody has a preconceived notion about poetry, and we know that for many people coming out of high school, it's sort of a negative preconception, and that's something that we're well aware of. But I think what we're asking people is to, just as you do in a university, you have to sometimes set aside your preconceptions.
Especially, freshmen coming into their first year, they're like, oh, a book of poetry, like, I don't want to read that. And so we really were trying to make it relatable, you know, making it something accessible, both in that a lot of the poets are local.
If you don't like poetry, it's not that you don't like all poetry. It's just that you haven't found the right poem for you.
In a way, the thing that seemed most daunting in high school, or the most subject to dissection and interpretation, is now this kind of joyful thing that you can carry around.
Read poetry. Try it.
Hey Kat, did you sign up for this year's zombie tag?
No, you know, I think I'd just be way too paranoid to walk around campus if I did that.
Aren't you paranoid already?
Anyway, Arnold, Tyler Steele checks out the latest zombie infestation to hit the UW.
Have you seen those orange bandanas on campus? They're everywhere. Humans vs. Zombie Tag is coming up on its 3rd year at the UW. This group is not only one of the largest clubs on campus, but one of the largest games of its kind in the nation.
Sign-up started last week with a bang. So many people wanted to join, organizers actually ran out of orange bandanas, the only items absolutely necessary to play.
You got a super right up there. Super up there.
This year is easily our largest game of Humans vs. Zombies tag. Our previous record was last fall's game. It had something in the area of 605 players. This quarter, while we're still waiting to get the final count in, we're looking at probably like 900 players, which puts us at one of the largest Humans vs. Zombies tag games ever held in the world.
Overseers are club leaders and organizers who make sure the game and signups run smoothly. Overseer Malcolm Badowitz gives a quick overview of how to play.
It's a 5-day-long game. It goes 24 hours a day, and it starts Monday at 6 a.m. And there are 2 zombies. In the past, there were 2 zombies who start the game by not wearing their headbands. Let me elaborate. Humans wear armbands, zombies wear headbands. Same bandana, is just where you place it on your body determines what you are. And basically, these zombies go around on Monday tagging humans, and so those humans are out for the day, and then the next day they become zombies. So as the game goes on, there's a dwindling human population, and zombies are growing, rapidly. So by the end of the game, most of the people who were playing are now zombies, and it's up to the humans to try to make it to Friday and complete the final mission that we have for them. Basically, we have 2 missions usually per game. There's a Wednesday mission and a Friday mission. The Wednesday mission, the goal of it is just to get people out and to play. There's usually an incentive for humans to go out and risk their lives, so to speak, to play. And the Friday mission is what humans have to complete at the end of the week to survive the game.
Surviving for Chelsea Lura doesn't involve speed or heavy firepower. For her, it's all about strategy.
My secret? Well, I am not good at running. I have to use an inhaler, I'm an asthmatic. So for me, sneaky, like plan your trip out, like always have a map with you, try to building hop is a good thing. Be sneaky as possible.
But for others, well, they're all about the big guns. And more, it's just never enough. Just ask Will Wassam. He's turned his toy gun into a killing machine.
This is my Vulcan I named Cecilia. She shoots way faster than any other Vulcan should shoot. It's basically it's a giant minigun for Nerf. Belt fed, it's the ultimate heavy weapon. I got a toggle switch for cooling it off. There's a little fan there because it gets really hot and it would overheat and it wouldn't shoot anymore. So that's a Vulcan.
And as much fun as eating brains and killing zombies can be, players say they get much more than just entertainment from the game.
For me, it's because I really like just reliving fun things from childhood.
I've met like 100 people through this game.
All of these people who are hilarious and nerdy and awesome, and they don't care if anybody knows it.
Here's a chance where, you're on the hunt and you're being hunted. It's this whole other layer on top of the everyday.
So next time you're on campus and you see a bunch of people with Nerf guns chasing some other dead-looking guys, don't worry. It's just a game and a harmless horde of zombies.
Now Lauren LeMieux profiles a freshman football player, Jesse Callier.
Ending the preseason with a record of 1 win and 2 losses, the Huskies had many fans questioning what to expect in Pac-10 play.
Our goal every year is to win the Pacific 10 Conference.
After the oddly familiar last-minute field goal against the USC Trojans, the Huskies were elated to have won their Pac-10 opener, only to be brought down the following week by their loss to Arizona State.
Games aren't always going to go the way you envision them or draw them up.
Despite all of the commotion this season, you couldn't have helped but to notice the presence of Jesse Callier on the field. Jesse, number 24, is a true freshman running back out of Downey, California.
What was just that moment that, like, wow, I'm now part of the University of Washington's football program?
Definitely the first game.
Uh-huh.
I mean, as you get here and stuff, you're just nothing but a freshman. You know, you haven't did anything like everyone else, but I mean, definitely your first game. You know, you can prove to the guys that you can play and contribute. Coming to college, when I thought about it, you know, I was freaked out, but once I really got out there and got a feel for the game, then, you know, it just, you don't even think about it anymore.
Mm-hmm. And do you miss your high school team at all?
Yeah.
Do you feel as connected with this team now, even though it's been a shorter period, as you did with your high school squad?
I mean, I try to stay, like, connected with the younger guys and stuff, because I had a lot of young guys on my team. So I try to, you know, send them a text every now and then, motivate them.
Busy, you have a big game coming up against OSU this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about that?
Feeling good. I mean, we prepared good, so hopefully we come out with a win this week.
And prepare well they did. The Huskies came out with a bang and were up 21-0 by the second quarter and eventually ended the game with a dramatic win.
Do you have a favorite team that you like to watch, maybe in the NFL or other college teans?
Actually, I don't. I don't even like to watch football.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's interesting. Why is that?
I mean, I like to peek in here and there, watch some highlights and stuff, but I would never go out of my way to, you know, watch the 49ers.
Where do you get your motivation from then? If you don't have anybody you look up to in the NFL or in any other league, where does that drive come from to be a great football player?
I think it comes from my dad. He tells me he's my number one fan. No, he's my best fan and my worst critic.
That's good, though. Do you appreciate that after
yeah.
a game when he gives you the advice?
Yeah, I mean, he'll tell me I have a good play, but also he'll tell me my bad plays. He'll tell it like it is.
How about your mom? What does she say to you after a game?
My mom is mom. I mean, she don't really know football, so she'll tell me a good game, you know.
A few of us noticed earlier in the year you had a half, like blonde, half your natural hair color. What was that all about?
It's a little something I used to do back in high school.
Uh-huh.
It's for our rivalry week, Downey versus Warren.
Uh-huh.
So I want to bring that over here, you know.
Just a little piece of high school, kind of keep it with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to forget about my high school days.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll do it again for when we play Wazoo, your new rival?
I might just go all blonde. I was thinking about going all blonde recently.
Jesse wasn't kidding about going all blonde. He showed up to the Oregon State game with a completely blonde head of hair and rushed for 20 yards against the Beavers.
Congratulations to the Huskies for their exciting win in double overtime against OSU. UW is now 3-3 for the season and 2-1 in the Pac-10 Conference. Be sure to tune in this weekend as the Huskies take on University of Arizona in Tucson. Reporting for the Daily's Double Shot, I'm Lauren LeMieux.
Katelin Chow talks to ASUW President Madeleine McKenna about her year-long goals and progress.
Hi, welcome to the Double Shot Talk. I'm Katelin Chow, and I'm here today in the Communications Building with Madeleine McKenna, President of ASUW. Madeleine, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I know a lot of our students are wondering what exactly President of ASUW does. Do you mind explaining it?
Sure. So the President of the Associated Students of the University of Washington represents student voice to decision makers, essentially. So that means the UW administration. It also means lawmakers down in Olympia or at the local level. And then I also oversee the association, which is a $1.2 million enterprise that's supported by student fees and offers a variety of services and programs for students. So I make sure that the ASUW is offering services and programs that are relevant to student needs, that are supporting student engagement on campus, and that are using student resources wisely.
So that's quite a lot of responsibility that you have. So, I mean, I understand that this will be about, your first month in? What do you hope to do in this year?
Yeah, so we've been working really since we got elected in the spring, and I know a lot of things that's on every student's mind is, of course, the budget cuts that are coming down the pike in the legislative session. It's been a very tough last couple of years. as far as state funding for higher education goes. State support has actually been reduced by 1/3 in the last 3 years, which means that we've seen an increasing privatization of the university. More and more of the university's budget is dependent on student fees, tuition, essentially. So we've been working hard to make sure that the state hears the message that higher education is important to the future of our state, and that the best form of financial aid is low tuition for students. So it's been a really tough sell given the current economic climate, but that's really our biggest priority.
And so how would you say that you guys have been doing that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we started right off the bat with our new terms has been a campaign called UW Votes, which is a coalition of different groups on campus, including Washpurg, including Young Democrats, College Republicans, UW Libraries are in on it, but to get students more engaged in the political process. And we think that starting that early, getting students out to the polls, or I guess mailing in their ballots in November, getting them educated about the issues that matter, will really spark a level of civic engagement that can carry us through the legislative session, so that students really come out with a strong message. I mean, we're 42,000 strong here. There's no reason why Olympia shouldn't take us seriously as a constituency.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, what do you think is making students not vote as much as they should be? I mean, I know that that's one of the things that you guys are really trying to do, and that's totally important. So,
yeah. So one thing that we heard just going up to students at dog days or approaching students, in their residence halls or just in Red Square was that a lot of times they don't feel like they know what the issues are. Or they don't know enough about the ballot measures. Sometimes things can look really obscure when you're looking at Senate joint resolution or some constitutional amendment. Sometimes that kind of thing is intimidating or just seems uninteresting or irrelevant to our everyday lives. So one of our big goals is to just make the issues more digestible, more understandable for students, and really to show the connection to your everyday life. So we're hosting an event next Tuesday, the 26th, October 26th, in Odegaard Library that's called Booze, Taxes, and Democracy, and it'll be a forum on 3 of the big ballot initiatives that are coming up in November. 1098, I-1098, which is the high-income earners tax, and then both of the initiatives to privatize sales of hard liquor. So that'll be a way that we're reaching out to students to present the issues in a fun and engaging way and show how it really matters to our lives.
Definitely. And so one thing I also wanted to ask about was the UPass. I mean, I know that costs are going up and students are really worried about it. And I know that's a big priority for you guys. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think now more than ever, students need low-cost, environmentally friendly transportation choices and ways of getting around, whether it's to campus, whether it's to their jobs. So we've really taken on the UPass as a high priority issue. Last year, when we recognized that the UPass program was going underwater, we organized a huge campaign to gather public opinion on where students, faculty, and staff wanted to see the UPass to go. So we got over 14,000 people to take our survey, and we saw really strong support for a universal UPass program, which is basically a mandatory purchase UPass instead of the current opt-out model. We will be transitioning into that new UPass come January, pending approval from the Board of Regents. And we've also been lobbying the city to help ease some of the pressures that are making costs go up for the UPass.
So Madeleine, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been great,
you.
And best of luck for this year, definitely. Thanks. Thank you for watching The Double Shot. I'm Katelin Chow.
Now, Traci Tate talks to Interim President Phyllis Wise about her experiences in office and the search for the next president.
Phyllis Wise. Google her, and you'll find that she holds a number of different titles. Today, we're going to explore her title as the University of Washington's Interim President. She's already moved into the presidential office. She's made her inauguration speech, and today, we're going to find out how it feels to accept interim president, how it feels to be the first Asian American woman to serve as the president of the University of Washington, and budget cuts that will affect students, programs, and faculty. Take a listen.
If you asked me 20 years ago whether or not I would be the interim president of the University of Washington, I would have asked you whether you were crazy or not. I never predicted it, but I'm really honored and privileged to do this. I feel a special responsibility and a bit of a burden to be sure to do this well, in part because of me, because of what I want to do for myself, but also because I think the community is watching, hoping that I succeed. Because if I don't, they'll probably wonder whether any Chinese woman, Asian American woman, could do this. Why am I pleased to do this on an interim basis and not be considered for the permanent position? I think it's because it's so important for the search to be totally open and totally able to look across the nation and across the world for the very best candidate. And oftentimes when the interim person is also a candidate for the position, people on the outside believe that the decision has already been made. And so some of the best people won't even put their name in. And I think that would be not good. We are, bracing for another budget cut during the next biennium, the 11-13 budget cut. We can cut faculty only if we have completely eliminated those programs. So if we eliminate a department, or if we eliminate a program, or such that the classes are not taught anymore, then certainly we can start to consider whether or not those faculty need to be here any longer. We're talking about which programs are not in great demand, and therefore we should decrease the enrollment in them for incoming students, and which ones we should think about combining. But those discussions won't happen until January or February. But we have alerted deans to be thinking about those kinds of things. Well, I'm going to go back to the provost position, and I will certainly offer to the next president to allow him to choose the provost that he wants. And I get to see what I want to do next.
Hey Kat, have you ever tried slacklining?
No, despite my name, I'm actually not that coordinated, Arnold.
We should start calling you Awkward Penguin. Up next, Jessica Wedvik takes a look at these firm-footed slackliners.
Slackers. We've all seen them. These bold huskies can be spotted tempting fate all over the beloved quad. Today, it's time to get to the bottom of this most unusual pastime, slacklining.
Slacklining involves a rope and two, usually trees or some solid bodies, and tie the rope to the trees and then walk across it. Climbers would make a base camp somewhere before their day trek, and while they're making their campfire soup or whatever, they'd set up a slackline and just practice crossing a line. Like the very first thing is just getting up and balancing, and that's already hard. But when you feel that there's a spot that you can balance, it's like a split second of relaxation, and then you fall.
I don't know, it's just the feeling I get from it. Like it's kind of like really relaxing. Like when you first, it's hard to get into, but like when you first stand on the line and you're just like at one with the world, it's like peaceful, calm, and you feel like you're totally in control.
So one day I thought it would be cool to try and balance on a scooter on the slackline. Of course, it was almost impossible, and like as soon as I get up, I'd fall. So I managed to get somebody to take a picture right in that split second that I was up before I fell. So on Facebook, there's like a little picture of me posing, but really that was like an instant. The quad is the best spot to slackline because there's always people going to and from class. People are always like, what is this weird thing that they're doing? And some people will come and try it out, and that's kind of the whole point.
My first time actually seeing them do
So
yeah.
I don't know, I just know that I fall on my face. It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah. I wish I could do that.
I know. I wish I had balance to do it.
Yeah,
someday in the future.
But according to Matthew Stewart, the slackliners have run into trouble.
I've heard that the groundskeepers don't like people landing on the grass, but I don't know for sure. We always put towels on the trees so that it doesn't hurt the bark, but I guess we still land on the grass and compacts the roots or something.
For those who'd like to try it out themselves, look for the UW slacklining group on Facebook, or just ask to try it out when you come across a group of slackers. This is Jessica Wedvik for the Daily's Double Shot.
Now we talk to Danica Brace, who's also on the Seattle Mist lingerie football team.
The LFL? What does that stand for?
What is it?
I don't, actually.
Oh, that's the Lingerie Football League. How could I not know?
From the LFL when I was approached at one of my basketball games by actually a bodybuilder who was dating the coach, and she looked at me and was like, wow, you are one athlete and I would love for you to come out. And so I went out to the tryouts last year and actually brought my sister along, and I made the team that night and went from there. A lot of my guy friends who are athletes as well, you know, they kind of thought it was a joke at first and they had seen it. And then they came to our first game and they were shocked. It wasn't at all what they expected, and they were really impressed. And so all my friends love it. They're stoked. They come to all my games and support me, which is awesome. My parents weren't crazy about it at first. To this day, my mom still can't watch. She'll come to the games and close her eyes for about half the game. And my dad just kind of has to tell her what's going on. We're kind of a novelty because a lot of people, they hear the name, the Lingerie Football League, and automatically puts a little thought in your mind where it's like, girls aren't for real, it's some powder puff stuff. But once people check it out and people see it and they're like, okay, this is some real stuff, and you know, that first thought initially just drops right out of their head as soon as they see us hit real hard. The team life it's cool. It's fun to be a part of a family again. We're really close. We hang out outside of practices. Practices are 4 hours long, 3 days a week, so we're with each other all the time. And we're hitting each other real hard. People get beat up in practice, and it's really intense. And our coach used to be a drill sergeant in the Army, and so he'll chew you out if you're not doing your job. The very first game against LA, I was incredibly nervous. My nerves got the best of me in the first half. I was shaking, and then after I got that first hit out of the way, it just went from there. My advice to any girls who are thinking that sports is it's still a man's world, it's not at all. Go out there. It's a confidence builder, if anything. When you go out and you join a new team and you excel in what you're doing on the court, on the field, wherever it may be, it's the most amazing feeling in the world to be an athlete and to show people what you're capable of, and to be a team player. It builds a lot of character. So just go out and give it a shot. I mean, you have nothing to lose. If you don't do it, you'll always regret it and just wonder, what if I could have, or if you ever would have made the team. So just go out and try it. Take a shot.
That's been our show for this week.
We'll see you on the next episode of the Daily's Double Shot, November 5th.